In this presentation, we will generate, analyze, export to Excel, and print an Accounts Receivable Aging Report within QuickBooks Pro 2019. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info. Here we are in the home page. We currently have the open windows open. In order to open the open windows, you're going to select the view drop down and select the open windows list. We're going to create an AR aging summary report. We can do that by going to the reports drop down, and we're looking for the customers and receivables, and we're looking for the accounts receivable aging. Also, we can do that in the reports center. So let's go to the report center. And we can then get an idea of the reports that would be related to customers and receivables. Now, the accounts receivable summary is one that's going to be very common. If we work within accounts receivable, and many people do specialize within accounts receivable, then the accounts receivable aging is going to be a report that we see often. We go to the customers and receivables here. We have the accounts receivable aging and the accounts receivable detail. So we here are going to be taking a look at the aging report. So we will run that report. We're going to make this large. I'm going to make the screen large by selecting this item. And then we have an as of date. So I'm going to say this is going to be as of 02/28/19. Now, why is there only one date and rather than two? If we click down here or refresh, it'll update the report there. That's because this report, remember that all these other reports that we're looking at are really going to be breaking out in some way, giving more detail about the financial statements, the balance sheet or income statement or profit and loss primarily. This one is giving more detail about a balance sheet account, which is going to be accounts receivable. So therefore, the balance sheet is as of a specific point in time, where we stand at a specific point in time, and that's why we only have one date. The balance sheet has one date. This report has one date. It may be useful for us, however, to go to Customize Reports up top and change the date range from 01/01/19 to 2/28/19 and say OK. Why? Because if we see an item we want detail about, we can still use this zoom feature and zoom in, and it'll give us more detail. And we may need a range of dates in order for us to give us that more detail. So we're going to close back out. This report is supporting backing up the accounts receivable on the balance sheet. So we've got 11,274. Let's take a look at the balance sheet account this report is supporting by going to the reports up top, going to the company and financial, and scrolling down to our standard balance sheet or balance sheet standard. And we'll change the date here to 02/28/19. And here we have in the accounts receivable, we've got 1,490. And that's because I entered the date incorrectly. So I got 18, I'm going to make it 28. See if that makes the problem better. So now it's at 11,274. That amount, then if we go back to the aging in the open windows, we've got 11,274. So if we go back to the balance sheet, remember that this is going to be the main document financial statement that will have most of the numbers. We want more detail. In this case, the receivable. This account is showing us that people owe us money. Customers owe us money. People owe us 11,274. Next thing we want to know, who owes us that money? When are we going to get that money? How can we call these people? Well, to know that, we got to know something by customer. And we also may want to know how outstanding are these information. So if we go to the accounts receivable aging, then we've got this broken out by customer, which is in the total column, but also gives us this aging report to tell us how outstanding these items are. So in other words, are these current? So Diana owes us $950. That's current, so they're good. However, Jones here owes us $399, and it's past due. It's in 30 to 90 days now. So we would then be more concerned here. And then if it was anything past that time frame, we would be more and more concerned. At some point in time, we would think, are we actually going to get paid on this information? Maybe we need to write it off. And when we think about things like, if you're thinking about should we value the accounts receivable, how do we value accounts receivable? It's at 11,274, but we may want to actually value it and say, hey, I know some of that money is not going to be collectible in some cases, and that's called, we could set up an allowance for doubtful accounts and try to estimate how much of our receivables is not collectible so that we can know ourselves and tell our readers of the financial statements, and that would be an allowance method. Or we may just want to write off the accounts receivable as they become not due, so they're not on our receivables anymore, write them off to bad debt at that point in time. That would be more of a direct write-off method. This report can help us to do that. Track how old the receivables are, who owes us that money, do we want to continue doing business with them, do we want to make another sale to somebody that owes us money that's over 90 days old, or do we want to set up a policy to get paid first before we continue working. So this report will help to manage those types of questions. We'll do our standard kind of formatting with this report. We're going to go to the Customize Reports up top, and we are going to go to the headers and footers. Let's remove the subtitle, not the subtitle, the date prepared, the time prepared, and that's it. We want to keep the print header. And notice I'm hesitating looking for the third one. And the third one is the basis. Is it a cash or accrual basis here? And notice we don't have a check mark for the cash or accrual basis. Why? Because accounts receivable is an accrual basis account. In other words, if we were on a pure cash basis, we shouldn't even have an accounts receivable. So that's going to be that. In the footer, we've been putting a name. I'm going to put Smith for the name. Then we're going to go to the Fonts and Numbers tab. Going to put parentheses around negative numbers, just as our custom has been, and put in red, and then say that we want to remove the pennies, remove the cents, and say OK. So there's a report. It's a little cleaner, a little tight. Notice that we have this negative receivable here, so we'll talk about how that came about. What will that be looking like? That'll be part of our adjusting entries process. Now we'll export this to Excel, and then we'll print it as a PDF file. So we'll go to the export up top. We're going to create a new worksheet, and then we're going to put that worksheet into an existing workbook. We're going to select where that workbook will be. We set one up in the prior presentation. It's going to be under the desktop, on the desktop, and under Get Great Guitars and Reports, Section 4. Going to just double click our Section 4 Excel sheet. It should then open it up once we select Export and put this new information to it. Here it is. I'm going to click on it, left click, drag it to the right, double click on it. Going to call it AR Aging, and then go to the View tab up top, Windows Group, unsplit the panes. Take a look at the page layout so that we can see if the header is there. I'm going through this a little bit faster clearly because we've done this a few times. Going back to the normal view, and there we have it. Everything looks good. Going to go to this first tab, right click on it, and delete. And so now we have the information we've done so far on this workbook, which we can give to others, or we could format it and sort it in other ways. For example, we can print, if we so choose, not just one report, but the entire workbook using a PDF file, and provide that one PDF file to customers, clients, employers as needed. One option for sorting this information could be very useful as we go, therefore, to put this information into something like Excel. Closing this back out, saving, no macros. Then we're going to go to the print. I'm not going to save it as a PDF, but I'll print it as a PDF, which is in essence the same thing, but the printing option always works for me because we got the PDF writer in our case, the free cute PDF writer. We're going to go ahead and print that item, and then we will save this. It's going to the correct location, it looks like. So that's where we're going to put it. I like to put this right here so I can see the title, and then we can just call it AR. I don't think I could put a dash in the Windows program. Aging Summary. There we have that. And note, we got a lot of information here. So, and some of this are graphs, some are other things. So if we were to give this to someone all in one group of just attachments to a document, it'd be not very nice. If we could zip it, a little bit nicer. If we put it on an Excel sheet, might be helpful. If we have an Excel sheet and a couple PDFs that are the graphs, that could work. Or if we have one PDF with all our forms, and then the other couple PDFs with the graphs, That's another way that might be a little bit nicer to present this information. So that is the AR aging summary. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info.